there's no way to know who it is, right?
Yep.
And that's the hardest part. How do you fight against the enemy when you don't know exactly who the enemy is?
Yep.
But I feel like in this war of good versus evil, you're a general in the movement.
Do my best.
And I think when you can understand and realize that there is a movement of people behind you, I think that maybe changes your perspective, your purpose.
Well, it does make me braver. It makes me braver because it makes me feel like my suffering's worthwhile, because I am suffering. I want everyone at home to understand that I don't need to do, you're right. I don't need to do any of this. I don't need money. I don't need the views. It's detrimenting my life. I've lost millions and millions of dollars, and I've gone to jail, and all my banks have been frozen, and they're trying to put me back, and all of this is happening. But I think when you ask who our enemies are, I don't think it's as simple as naming a family or the deep state, etc. I think the enemy is deception. Demons operate from the dark, and we're living in a world which is built on lies. Every single thing is a lie. Everything they tell you is a lie. Every system you're supposed to believe in is corrupted to the core. And I think if you're going to make or build a correct society, a fair and just society, you should at least do it under the guise of truth. If you're looking at a chessboard and you have to decide the move you want to make, well, you want to understand the chessboard first. You have to analyze the chessboard and see where the pieces are. We can't do that now because the entire chessboard's cloaked in darkness. You don't know how the legal system works. You don't know how the political system works. You don't know how the financial system works. So when they come along and say, we need to do this for the good of society, how can you even make that decision when you haven't even seen how society functions? So I think if you just tell the truth about everything all the time, from there, perhaps it would be chaotic for a while as the matrix breaks. It's very likely. But at least if you tell the truth all the time, you have a fair starting block. You have a clear chessboard from where you can decide what moves should be made for how society should function. And we're all humans, and humans are fallible. None of us are perfect. We're making mistakes, and we've built these systems to keep some semblance of peace and serenity amongst society. And we've done an okay job for a while. But I think now we're entering a stage where the highly politicized judicial systems, along with the highly politicized medical system, along with the highly politicized financial system, along with the highly politicized, we're getting to a point now where everything's about to crumble. And I think it's very important that everyone understands the truth of how the world operates before that happens. And my hope is that we can build a new system, or there's a new age and a new world where things are genuinely fair and just. I don't want to go on, but just for everyone at home, if you think the law is fair and just, you're going to learn the hard way that it's not. You're going to learn the very hard way. You can go into any jail in any country in the world, and you'll find people who got screwed by their lawyer or screwed by the system. Black, white, rich, poor, everybody. And of course, everyone thinks of the police and the judicial system as somebody kills someone, police catches them, goes to jail. And they do that well, and they're supposed to. But there's also the innocent guy who forgot a number on a piece of paper once in 2001, and his life's over. So, and especially if that person's a conservative, then he's really in trouble. So it's difficult. And I'm kind of scared because I say all these things about how the matrix is cracking. We need to build a new system, but it's happening in direct correlation at exact the same time as AI is taking over. And I'm kind of scared that AI is going to enslave us all now. I'm kind of sitting there going, well, if all the current systems break and they rebuild them, they're going to rebuild them with the new technology. Of course, they always would. Is this new technology going to be used for our benefit or to perma-enslave us? It's kind of scary.
I got so many places to go with this. We can go into government. We can go into
let's go into Minority Report. Minority Report. We're all going to jail before you even do anything. The AI bot is going to scan your entire personality profile, everything you've ever said, the way you drive your car, the things you say in private, and they're going to come together with this report, and they're going to say, look, this person drives their car too fast. They're reckless. They got too many girlfriends. They're out here spreading testosterone all over the place. I don't like the things he's saying. He's physically large. He could be considered a danger. Arrest him anyway. Minority Report's coming for all of us. We're all going to jail, especially if you're a man. If you're a man, you're only this far from jail anyway.
At all times.
At all times, bro. If you've got a dick, you're going to jail. You could be in any state in America. It doesn't matter how conservative the state or how red the state or how right-wing the state. You can be in any state in America. If a girl walks into a police station and says 6 years ago, this man abused me or raped me, and with no evidence, she can't even remember when, you're getting arrested. And if you have a job, you're going to lose it. And if you're famous, it's in the papers and your life is over. You're this close to jail anyway, sir. You're this close. Your entire life, you're skating this close to jail anyway. You think when they get AI, we're not all perma fucked? I think we are, because prevention's better than cure. And they're now learning as they're trying to cure this cultural revolution, because the prevention was keeping us all banned. Now we start to get a bit of freedom of speech. They're now trying to cure this cultural revolution with disinformation committees and internet safety bills, etc. But they don't want to cure it. They want to prevent it. And I'm guarantee whatever systems come next, especially if AI is involved, they're not going to allow us to ever have any semblance of, bro, why would they? Any semblance of freedom.
So when I think about AI, I think about the social issue of the next generation will be human rights for artificial robots.
Oh, bro, we're so toast. I don't even have solutions, bro. We're so toast.
Because if you think about right now, if you ask anyone that's maybe in their 60s, 70s, and you said, hey, the social issue of our time in 2024 will be men can be women, women can be men. People are like, that's crazy. That doesn't make any sense. If you ask the previous generation. If you ask people now, what the next human rights for robots, they're like, that's crazy. But if you think about it, eventually one of your children may have a robot. You'll have a robot if they will do your dishes and do all this.
I have one of them.
You get
what does the dishes?
Eventually, we're all going to have one, right? And as technology gets better, they're going to look more human-like, right? Because that's what everyone in technology does. They try to make the voice better, the look better, because you don't want them to be so weird-looking. They don't want looking. Eventually, there's going to be a generation of kids that grow up being taught, raised, basic function of society from their nanny robot.
You're right.
And when they become 18, 19, 20 years old, and they're going to say, oh, we got to take your robot offline. But I love him.
That's true.
You can't take R2-D2. I love R2-D2.
Bro, that's true.
He read to me.
No, you're completely right. And what's even scarier is I find, I talk often about how masculinity is under attack and how they're damaging our innate masculine instincts. And one of the largest innate masculine instincts is protectiveness, and also to a degree, disagreeableness. If you're truly masculine, you're protective. And I think as an extension of that, you're disagreeable. I'll talk about me as a person. If somebody comes into me with a brand new idea, which conflicts with mine, they can explain it to me, and perhaps over time I'll adapt to it. But my instant reaction is no. No. Who are you? Why are you here? That's my instant reaction. And I think that's the masculine instinct. That's why men are protective. It's why we're tribal, right? If a different tribe member arrived at your tribe, you'd be like, who are you? Bro, don't come near my chicks. Get away from my tent. That's how we evolved for the longest period of human history. And I look at now how masculinity is in decline. And when you have no innate physical capability to defend yourself, you're much more likely to subdue and effectively cucked power structures. And when you talk about things like this with the robot, I see a generation of future men with basically no testosterone level who just fall in love with these robot machines. And they don't see the danger in it because they're ostriches. They don't want to see the danger, because if they see the danger, they have to fight. And they don't want to fight because they can't. So instead, they're going to pretend there's no danger, and they're going to worship instead. You see this now with liberals. Liberals worship government. They worship government like it's God, because, oh, government, please protect us, please save us, because they're cowards and they're weak. So they worship government and think it's a good thing. And that's certainly coming for the AI machine. The worst thing about the destruction of the human race at the hands of AI is that there's going to be a huge percentage of the population begging for it.
Yeah.
Begging for it. The same men now who beg girls on OnlyFans to ignore them, who will send a girl money and say, please don't reply, ignore me, and enjoy it. The same people now who beg for the government to take their money off of them to stop the sun from being hot. These are the same people who are going to be begging the AI machines to control every aspect of their life. You're going to see future fetishes where a man is going to be the robot for the robot. I'll do the dishes. Please, R2-D2. I'll do your dishes. I love you. That's what's going to come, because the human race is so fucked. The only solution to this is innate masculinity, because God created us with it to protect. That's why God created masculinity, to protect ourselves and others. But it's disappearing. So I'm telling you, the future of AI is more scary than most realize. You could sit down in 50 years from now with people, you could get the whole world in a concert hall and say, AI is going to destroy all of us. We have to get rid of it. And there's going to be someone at the back who goes, but she strokes my pee-pee anytime I want. And he's going to just selfishly accept the annihilation of the human race for his sexual gratification, or because she's his friend, like you said, or because she raised him, because he's not man enough to say, no, we have to protect first. And all of that's disappeared from society now. Protect first has kind of vanished, and we're left in this insane quagmire of different ideals constantly competing. You can apply this to something else. We just talked about AI. Let's apply it to something far more simple. The border crisis. A man thinks, I don't know who these people are. I'm sure some of them are good, but one of them might be bad.
Yeah.
And if one of them is bad, none of them should come. Because if you gave me a box of Cheerios and told me one Cheerio was poisoned, I wouldn't eat from the box of Cheerios because I'm not an idiot. Women will use an emotional argument. Well, most of them need help. Most of them need to be saved, and we can save them all, which is asinine and incorrect anyway, but that's the emotional argument. And weak men, even worse, will pretend there's no danger at all, because if they accept there's danger, they now need to be brave. And what's the one thing a coward never wants to be? Brave. So a weak man will sit there and say, oh, they're not criminals. How do you know they're criminals? There's already criminals here. You're a criminal. You're homophobic. You're racist. They just want a better life. And they'll ignore the problem so they don't have to ever look in the mirror and realize they're a pussy. They'll do anything to cope their way out of having to be brave and be protective. And then we end up in a situation we're in. If men were still raised with the innate masculine responsibility to protect and provide, we'd be a lot more careful about everything, not just the border, but AI, because it's very obvious where it's all going to go.
Yeah.
And it's not just robots as you imagine robots walking around. I'm sure that'll actually be the cool part of AI. There's actually a far more dystopian, less interesting, and more scary version of AI, which is where we're almost at. Facial recognition cameras on every single corner, 15-minute CEs, electric cars, which can turn off if you try and drive into the wrong area. That's why they want everyone to go electric. Nothing to do with the environment. That's bullshit. So they can turn your car off. That's why they want you to have an electric car. If I get in my Ferrari, you can't turn it off. You got to chase me down, sir. Good luck, police. You got to catch me. I'm good. But if you're an electric car, they just say, what's his serial number? Boop. Turn off the car. Keep the doors locked. He was wrong thinking. Facial recognition on every corner, like I said. 15-minute cities, like I said. They'll control your money. They'll control where you go. They'll control if you can fly or not. They'll control your food. The AI is going to be a little camera in the corner linked to your mobile phone and your national ID from the digital system. And you're not even going to see a cool robot. And AI is already going to wreck your life. You don't even get a hand job from a robot. You don't get anything. It's bullshit. That's where AI is going before the cool robots come. Bro, there are no AI hand jobs coming. It's just dystopian. It's just dystopian insanity. That's where we're going to end up. And as the matrix cracks and they try and rebuild this new system, unless we're very clear to people about the truth of things, we're going to end up far worse than we ever were before. Far worse.
I'm still thinking about this idea
AI hand jobs?
No, of a man walking next to a robot carrying the robot's purse.
Bro, 100%. Bro, these dudes are going to be fully cucked for these fucking things. I've seen dudes fully cucked for chicks, which really ain't worth that much. So if you're telling me you're going to give him an obedient virgin, effectively, which he buys out the box, bro, he's going to be on his knees every night begging, please don't leave me. You're going to have robots programmed to be one step out the door so the man can spend his life begging to keep her there because he's going to love it. The future is so fucked. I don't think people realize, and it could all be fixed if men were men, but they're deliberately attacking that. And they're attacking it for the reason I said earlier. Men are protective. And if you want to damage a society, you have to remove the protectors of society. We used to walk in, the Romans would turn up to the Greeks and kill all the military age males. So now what do? They can't kill us all. So they try and neuter our minds and neuter our innate masculine tendencies. If you're a man, you're toxic. You're toxically masculine. If you're a man, in any regard, you're toxic. If you say to your wife, don't go out drinking with all those other men who I don't know. You're my wife. Stay home. You don't go drinking with men because we're in love and we're married. You're controlling and you're toxically masculine. You're a bad person. How does that even, how can society even function under that premise? How do you even have a wife? How do you have a marriage? How do you have anything? Nothing even makes sense anymore. The ideals that they're purporting and the way they want men to live literally doesn't even make sense. It's impossible to live as a man that way. So you have two options. You either become a wrong thinker, like I am, like you are, like a lot of people are. And if you get too big, that you pay the price because they chop off the head of the snake. Or you absorb all the garbage they put out there and try and poison your mind with, and you end up miserable.
Do you think that they are deliberately taking away masculinity from men? Or do you think that there's a role that men themselves play and they're just willingly giving it up?
Well, we have personal accountability in all things. But I think it's a long and deliberate psyop. And most people don't realize that psyops are built on a very long time scale. People imagine PSYOP as you watch a 30-minute movie and then your brain's been changed and you've been brainwashed. That's not how PSYOPs work. Brainwashing works over the passage of time, and it works with the slow and gradual normalization of ideas. I'll give you an example. You just talked about how 60 years ago, if you told somebody that a man could be a woman could be a man, that would be insane. Now we will sit here and still say it's insane, but there's a large subsect of the population who would sit here and argue with us. Our grandchildren will not think it's insane at all. They'll think it's perfectly normal.
Yeah.
And as much as we try our best to fight against it, and as much as we try our best to resist the tide of darkness, it's going to come and they are going to win. Yeah. So when they put these PSYOPs in order, they think generationally. As you said earlier, because I like to reference back, you talked about these families that have been controlled for a very long time. Well, they're thinking about the world their grandchildren are going to inherit. And if they want to purport an idea which is negative for the society because it benefits them, they're going to think, I may not see the benefits of it, but Rothschild number 89, he will. So we'll just put the PSYOP over a long enough period of time. That's what they do. And you're saying men are giving it up. Yeah, slowly and gradually we are giving it up. All of us do it. Even me, who is very conscious of these things, catches myself do it. I'll give you a perfect example. COVID was the great example. They took 100% of your rights away. Then they gave 80% of them back. Oh, you can go out now. Just wear a mask sometimes, but you can go out and you're free again. Well, wait, a year ago I was 100% free. Now I'm 80% free. But most people feel free because they were constrained. So they take everything, they give you most of it back, and they keep that little bit. They take everything and they give you most of it back and they keep that little bit. Before you know it, you're fucking begging for a robot to give you a hand job as she's one
this
foot out
damn
the door.
robot.
Bro. But that's where it's going to come. Because also the innate masculine desire to reproduce is also very important, right? Men want to have children. And it's hard for a man to find a wife. It's hard for a man to find a woman to have his kids. A woman can find somebody to get her pregnant any day of the week. But for a man to do that, it's actually difficult. In days of old, you had to be an important man or a man of stature or a man of honor. Why did men join the army? Because they got to come home with that medal so they could get a wife. They'd go risk their lives for this. You had to be a man who did the right things, a man who was strong, a man who was capable, a man who was competent, et cetera, et cetera. Now we have a huge subsect of the population of men who can't get partners, and they've been outsourced to pornography and insanity and OnlyFans and prostitution and all this other garbage, which is one conversation. That's going to be replaced by AI and robots coming soon as well, which subdues the men. If the men don't have to become strong to find a mate, then they're not going to become strong, which once again makes it easier for the population to be controlled. If you had a population where all the men had to be honorable, virtuous men of capability for them to be able to reproduce, you would have an honorable, virtuous, capable society. But if you say to men, you can be a lazy idiot, this robot's can give you a hand job, or you can watch porn, or OnlyFans or whatever it is, and you can just sit at home and you'll be semi-satisfied and you don't even have to work. You can get food stamps, or you can work a bullshit minimum wage job and we'll take most of it in taxes, but you'll barely survive and scrape some living off at the bottom. And then when their life is miserable and they feel depressed, you can convince them it's someone else's fault, because that's what they do. They come along to these people and say, yeah, your life's shit. It's not because you didn't try. It's because of the white people, the black people, the yellow people, the Republicans, the Democrats, whoever, and make them hate-filled. Now you have a whole bunch of hate-filled, useless humans who do nothing to benefit society as a whole, subdued with garbage, and they are basically agents of the Matrix because their mind can be programmed to hate anyone they're told to hate. And that changes in time, as we've learned. If Trump's in power, there's a big racial divide. If he's not in power, the riots stop. And they just change it around. Who do we need the agents of the Matrix to hate this week? And they just, boom, turn them all on because they're sitting there with nothing else in their life and no honor and no dignity. And they're used to continue the degradation of society. It's insane.
There's something that we talk about a lot, which is normalization of some of the things that happen around us, right? So, for example, why do they allow so much crime in the cities?
Yep.
There's crime everywhere. They can stop it if they really wanted to. All they would have to do is just start arresting people and say enough is enough, and crime would essentially not go away, but be manageable. Right now, they let it run rampant in most U.S. American cities. Why is that? And I think it's because they want people that live in the cities to be like, all right, there's so much crime and we don't feel safe. Please, government, can you give us more control? 100%. Please, government, can you surveil us more? Please, government, can you put cameras here? And can you do facial recognition? And can you do digital IDs? Because if they force it on you, people will push back.
Of course.
If you create a situation where you ask for it, they're like, oh, we're here to help.
Well, absolutely. And that's the only thing that people will give up freedom for is safety.
Yeah.
That's the human mind will only accept a loss in freedom for safety. So you're completely right. They could stop it and they decide not to. And they're also normalizing it.
Yeah.
I spoke to someone who lives in Chicago yesterday. I was saying, why do you live in Chicago on purpose? Like, you have money and you're there on purpose. Like, you're waking up in Chicago on, like, leave. Like, what's wrong? He goes, it's not that bad. It's really not that bad if you avoid this part, that part, that part. And it's not that bad if you don't go out at night. And then I'm like, I live in Bucharest, Romania, the capital of one of the poorest countries in Europe. And I can walk around at night and I drive a $5 million Bugatti and I have a $500,000 watch and I have no problems here. You've been so normalized to crime that you say it's not that bad if you only see crime once a week and avoid most of the city. It's crazy how quickly people become normalized to these things. And you're right. Eventually, it's going to get to a crisis point, a tipping point. Like I said earlier, when the matrix finally cracks, they're going to come along with a new solution. The new solution is going to be draconian control because it's all governments have ever done. It's all they know how to do. And unless we get enough people understanding the truth and the light, unless we get enough people understanding the reality of the chessboard, we're in trouble. Because when they come along and say, we're going to have a new judicial system with AI and this, we need people to sit and say, wait, the old judicial system was corrupt. How do we ensure the new one isn't? But if people are sitting there going, oh, the justice system's good, and now we have this new super justice system. No, you have a super corrupt system and you're screwed. And you're completely right. They're normalizing these things because they're trying to remove the freedom of people and replace it with safety, because all governments have ever wanted since the dawn of human time is control of their populace. Yeah. It's what allows them to be most effective. I'm not going to even be mad at the government. If you're an ant, let's look at it from a business perspective. You have a business, I have a business, right? If I have a business, I have 110 people who work for me. If one of them didn't listen to me, I'd fire him. Yeah. Why would I keep him? My business is not effective if I have somebody inside of my company who has wrong think, right? They think wrong. I believe certain ideas. This is my company. And we have this one person here who disagrees with everything I say. That's annoying. I want him to go. That's fair and everybody would agree with me. Well, now you have to understand why the government hates us. The government wants everyone to comply and obey and do as it says and as it wants so it can run the government how it sees fit. I disagree with that. I am the bad employee. Yeah. I am the person who is annoying to them, especially someone like us, because we have a voice. Not only are we bad employees, we inspire other employees to be bad. Now everyone's listening to us going, wait, he has a point. I don't like this company anymore. I don't like how it runs. That's unfair. That's unjust. Then they want to fire us. But you can't fire us. So you have to put us in jail or teach us a lesson or sue us or take our money or slander us with the media machine. They have to punish us somehow. It's as simple as that, because a government is sitting there as a business, which is how it should be run. They're corrupt to the core, but a government sitting there saying, how do we run our government as effectively as possible? Well, we want robots. We don't want humans with too much individual liberty and too much individual ideas and too much freedom. No, we want robots who comply so we can be effective. And that's why they're going to come along, and any new system they build is going to have that in mind. They want draconian control over all of us. And if you don't understand that, then you're an idiot. They make new laws every day. I've never seen them take one away.